Hello everyone, this is Cobalt. DLC is nothing new to video game franchises, though it's a fairly new concept to the Smash franchise when compared to others, first being introduced in Smash 4 on the Wii U with Mewtwo's return in April of 2015, less than a year after the game's initial launch, and subsequently followed by the return of Lucas and Roy 2 months later. This inclusion marked a poignant shift in the design philosophy of characters as the game progressed, and would influence further DLC characters as time went on. Today I want to discuss why this design selection for the new characters may not have been as good for the competitive meta as we may have hoped. When DLC was first introduced into Smash 4 back in 2015, this was an exciting time for the franchise, returning 3 of the removed veterans back to the game. This culminated in the inclusion of the next newcomer, Ryu. The inclusion of Ryu to Smash broke boundaries. It was incredible at the time, and the crossover of Smash with another high-profile fighting game was fresh, fun, and likely the biggest third-party crossover since Snake or Mega Man. Now, Mewtwo, Roy, and Lucas were kind of spread out over the tier list, with Mewtwo being a top tier, Lucas being an upper mid-tier, and Roy being a lower mid-tier character. When Ryu was added in, he was quickly placed in the high tier next to Mewtwo thanks to his relatively high weight and insane kill power. Shoryuken with Rage was a terrifying weapon to have, though to be fair, Smash 4 Rage in general was a large problem, but that's a topic for another time. His inclusion also introduced us to what the DLC would be heavily known for moving forward, and that being unique game mechanics or non-traditional ones to the Smash franchise at least. His freeze-frame multiplier and emulation of the physics from Street Fighter thoroughly crafted him a specific niche within Smash 4's competitive meta, allowing him to fluidly string together high-damaging outputting combos and sharp, abrupt finishing blows. 6 months later in December of 2015, we'd see the inclusion of Cloud Strife, one of the most high-profile and cool additions to the franchise. Cloud instantly shot to the top of the roster with his large, lingering, and disjointed hitboxes and the ability to play passively and force approaches thanks to his special ability Limit. We'd had some really good characters added in, with a plethora of cool new options at this point. Cloud was the best of these by far, and was quite the dominant force in the metagame, and would prove to continue to do so. He was a strong character in both singles and doubles, had a good matchup spread, and at the time was considered one of the best characters in the game alongside others like Diddy Kong and Sheik. The game was still exciting, and it looked like things were only going to be getting better and better as more and more new characters were expected to be added to the game. This, however, would quickly change pace. The next DLC pack would change everything about this game and completely re-centralize the meta. Corrin was added to the game in February of 2016 after their announcement trailer. They were a solid character, being placed just outside of top tier, and, well, yeah. Bayonetta was added alongside Corrin as the final newcomer to the Smash 4 roster. The excitement for Bayo and Corrin's inclusion was palpable at the reveal trailer, and they immediately looked like top-tier potential. Little did we know it would be a lot more than we had originally bargained for. Bayonetta's overwhelming presence quickly rocketed her to the #1 character in the game, and even after a long list of nerfs, twice, she still remained the best character in Smash 4 by a wide margin, and dominated the meta for the remainder of Smash 4's lifespan. She made the game a less than enjoyable experience, so to put it mildly, she made an enormous impact on the competitive community. So, of the newcomers introduced in the DLC for Smash 4, we had Ryu, Cloud, Corrin, and Bayonetta. 2 of those characters were the top 2 characters in the game, and the other 2 were still high tier and incredibly viable. Corrin was likely the one out of these 4 that abused additional mechanics the least, but the remaining 3 in Ryu, Cloud, and Bayonetta used their newfound mechanics to dominate the competitive scene. Around this time, and throughout the inclusion of Smash 4's competitive lifespan, the game greatly started to become considered pay-to-win, where a very common joke was to pay $5.99 to win tournaments with Bayonetta. The core design of her character definitely reflected the gameplay from her franchise with insanely long combo sequences, but this gameplay didn't transfer well to Smash considering how incredibly overwhelming a character she became. The DLC characters had received, without a doubt, extra love and attention within this game, and that's to be expected given that you're focusing on the development of a small handful of characters compared to a full game. However, having mechanics like these, like Limit, like Witch Time, regardless of how true to their character they are without a doubt an incredibly advantageous tool to have, and one that offers DLC characters a significantly better chance of being successful in the game. All of this creates the baseline of the core issue of this problem. Are the DLC characters given too much of an advantage? Now hang on to that because it'll be important later. 4 years after Smash 4's release, we were given the next installment to the franchise, Ultimate. Ultimate's roster was immediately massive, and we were told right at the beginning that we would be getting a slew of new characters sold as DLC throughout the course of the game's development. Piranha Plant was added as the first DLC character upon the game's release, and Well, I suppose Mightykeef's reaction aptly describes the reaction of the community.
A surprise, of course. It wouldn't be Sakurai, it wouldn't even be a Smash Direct without something in the end. This guy is such a troll. I bet he'll do something that's going to be amazing. I'm talking about something incredible. Something like all assist trophies or now playable characters, huh? Wouldn't that be something? Oh my god. Or maybe he's going to give us a new character, somebody we want. Maybe it's finally Banjo-Kazooie. Gotta tell me, what is it?
Plant had been more of a joke character than anything, but frankly I really enjoyed their inclusion in the game. I think that he's really underrated, and Brood has proved that he can be competitively viable during Ultimate's early days. Joker was then released in April of 2019. This sent shockwaves through the scene. Everyone seemed incredibly thrilled at such a cool character being added to the roster. Joker was an immediate threat thanks to Arsene, his impressive knockout and combo potential, and MKLeo began dominating tournament brackets using him shortly after his arrival. Though, to be fair, he was doing that anyway with just about any character, including Byleth most recently. Joker is currently widely considered one of the top 2 characters in the game alongside Pikachu. 3 months later, Hero was dropped in July, and the controversy surrounding this character filled the competitive scene for months. His heavily RNG-focused toolkit and potential language barrier was heavily debated, and even after his release in July of 2019, the arguments and debate persisted. His menu options and critical hits were criticized to no end, and he was consistently referred to as a gimmicky character heavily dependent on luck to win. Now, no official tier list has been created for the game thus far, but Hero's not a bad character. He doesn't have the best frame data, but he has good specials in neutral special and side special, and his menu offers him some good options, and he's seen solid competitive results, especially in Japan. Next was Banjo and Kazooie, who dropped in September. They had Wonder Wing and a projectile-based gameplay that a lot of people weren't a fan of. They were considered to be basically a zoner, and truthfully haven't seen much top-level competitive representation since their release. But Wonder Wing offered them a unique form of invincibility not seen before in this game, and their playstyle didn't really make people jump out of their seats. Following was Terry in November, who was my personal favorite DLC character. Terry had another comeback mechanic in Go that offered him some ridiculous comeback potential. That, coupled with auto turnaround and ed-lag canceling on his normals, created a character with a plethora of utility and conversion options. He's seen excellent competitive results lately being piloted by Riddles. And closing out the first Fighters Pass was Byleth, who was a bit lackluster in terms of a character reveal, but I like their playstyle and design honestly. Byleth originally was thought to be a very weak character, but MKLeo has proven that they can be successful even at top levels of competitive play thanks to their incredible range and threatening recovery options. After Fighters Pass 1 concluded, we started to see a repetition of the DLC from Smash 4. The additional mechanics and utility offered to each of them is decidedly different from a majority of the cast, and it's all contained within a small group of characters. Between Arsene, RNG, Wonder Wing, and Go, there is plenty of new techniques that prove to be indicative that these DLC characters have received some extra attention in terms of character design when compared to the remainder of the cast. Around this time is whenever I started hearing characters' moves or toolkits be referred to as DLC. Oh, that's a DLC neutral error. Oh wow, Falco got buffed, he got the DLC treatment. There's a reason for this, and I think that it's quite apparent at this point that the DLC characters are afforded more advantageous mechanics than most of the cast. Joker was inarguably the strongest of these 5, but the remaining 4 are very solid characters in their own right. Also, I want to say that I love every one of these characters' inclusions in Smash, and I think that they all deserve a spot in the game. My problem more so is with their implementation. Then we begin Fighters Pass 2. Which starts out with Min Min. She was labbed out rapidly, and her range and impressive reach proved very quickly to be a strong character in the competitive metagame, and Proto Banham, Dabuz, Peckham, and others have proved that she can be seriously competitively viable. Her dual arms and ability to throw out aerial smash attacks offered her unique distance hitboxes that gave her distinctly more coverage than any other character before her or since. This unique mechanic made her an enormous struggle for some characters, and her up smash doubling as a reflector prevents her from being heavily zoned out. Next we had Steve. Analyzing him in Smash, he's one of the most unengaging and unfun characters to fight against in my opinion. Minecart and blocks offer him the capacity to play a very simple game, and while he does have some incredibly intricate combos, I don't see them often utilized in bracket. His mechanics offered him the ability to completely disengage from his opponent should he choose to, while offering him the ability to use a projectile with a command grab hitbox, so great job design-wise there. Sephiroth was next. He was probably the coolest release for Fighters Pass 2 so far in terms of characterization, but yet again, another different comeback mechanic in One-Winged Angel with armor and stat buffs, and was immediately thought to be a high tier or a top tier character thanks to his excellent range and combo potential. The comeback factor and heavy armor didn't hurt him either. Pyra and Mithra followed. They were without a doubt one of the most enjoyable characters to play in the game. But, Mithra has easily the best movement of any character in the game. She has the 5th fastest run speed, great airspeed and mobility, which is great. She moves very fluidly and controls amazingly. The only disadvantage that this character has really is her recovery. The frame data, hitboxes, everything is just insane, and that's fine on its own. She's a good character. My problem with her really is foresight, and partly that they've given these characters so much to work with. So much was given to these DLC characters that it's insane. No other character has as good a combination of movement as she does, which is crazy to me considering how good her kit is in general, and then adding foresight on top of that is just nuts. And lastly, Kazuya. Kazuya's release culminated in something that I had been anticipating would happen given the previous trend of the DLC characters, that being a character with an incredibly large list of features as unique mechanics. It seems that they're attempting to put as much into a single character's mechanics as they possibly can and to just deal with it. He has almost everything. A comeback mechanic, super armored command grab, auto turnaround, heavy armor on his smash attacks, a reflector on an attack, low knockback resistance like Bowser, and a cross-stage projectile, decent recovery with an up special that kills, and I just don't like the core design philosophy of these characters at this point anymore. I like Kazuya as a character, and I fully support making him as true to Tekken as possible. However, it really began to feel as though they were trying to cram as much into a character as they could around this time. Kazuya is by no means an extremely easy character to use, but strictly from a design perspective, he is an incredibly bloated character in Smash. The DLC characters mostly deviate from the traditional fighting mechanics that we've seen be implemented in Smash. How many of you would argue that Lucario's aura is a good mechanic, or that Little Mac is a well-designed character? Probably very few, right? And keep in mind here that I'm talking strictly about the competitive aspect of the game. The DLC characters have taken specific attributes and amplified them to the core of their design philosophy. Think about it. As we've gone on, the characters have gotten progressively more and more over-designed, and it happened the exact same way in Smash 4. Min-Min up smash doubling as a reflector, which is also an incredible out-of-shield option, and combos out of down tilt, insane range and rapid coverage. Hero down special acting as about 30 different special moves and critical hit smash attacks. Terry's unlimited go options past 100%. Banjo's Wonder Wing invulnerability. Steve's, well, everything, but Minecart specifically functioning dually as a projectile with a hitbox as well as a grabbing hitbox, providing pressure that no other move in the game can. Maybe you could compare it to Monkey Flip, but at least Diddy Kong isn't throwing a projectile in that scenario. Sephiroth is one-wing heavy armor and triple jump and damage increase. Joker has Arsene and gun. Mithra's incredible frame data, movement, and absurd air dodge mechanic. And culminating thus far with Kazuya, whose insanely bloated mechanics have already got even people that are skeptical about calling the newest DLC character broken, concerned about his inclusion. Before the DLC characters, we had one character with armored smash attacks. Now we have 3. And I know Kazuya and Sephiroth are technically heavy armor, but you get my point. Now we have 2 additional characters whose attacks double as reflectors, super armored command grabs, absurd range, a projectile that also functions as a command grab, and I'm not even criticizing the implementation of these attributes individually, but when you shove this many things into such a small range of characters, it makes for a very congested metagame whenever DLC characters are offered as much utility as they are. The second Fighters Pass really emphasized this heavily, as every single one of the 5 characters that have been released in it thus far have been very competitively viable. Fighters Pass 1 wasn't quite as strong, but whenever you have characters like Joker and Terry and Byleth who are all doing very well competitively, it's clear that they're doing well still. I want to be very clear, I'm not criticizing the source material of these characters. I love Persona 5 and I loved ARMS before it basically died. These are fun games with fresh ideas and good implementation of its core design. Loads of these games are amazing and worth playing. I'm critiquing these characters as they exist in Smash. I'm not saying these characters don't deserve a spot in Smash either, but for the most part, I honestly don't think that they've been very beneficial for the competitive metagame, at least in terms of their design. And this is because the core design philosophy and gameplay of each of the characters is too true to the source material, or at least an attempt to be. They're fun to play as, and at its core, that's what Smash is all about. I'm strictly referring to their design from the viewpoint of a competitive lens, and I think that they're very privileged characters in general, which is hard on the competitive landscape. Hero, for example. He has critical hits in his own game, but so do Marth, Cloud, and every Pokemon. That doesn't mean that they should all be in Smash. Captain Falcon and the Star Fox crew literally don't have a video game where you play as the character, and their movesets are almost entirely made up for Smash. If we're taking trueness to the original game into account, Sephiroth should be heavier than Cloud, not as light as Pikachu. Smash isn't centered around its realism. It's a completely separate entity that deviates from the source material while using it as a reference point to develop the character's moveset. And herein lies the problem. A majority of these characters play comparably to how they do in their original game, but does that translate well to Smash? I'd argue that it doesn't. Hero's randomized toolkit and critical hits, Min-Min's insane range and dual attacking capabilities on a linear plane versus a 3D environment, Joker's Arsene, Steve's crafting, mining, and building ability, and Mithra's insane movement, frame data, and foresight ability, just to name a few. Tekken's notorious for having an enormous list of moves available to the characters, but this isn't Tekken, and Kazuya feels like he's playing Tekken. I know that Isam is just one professional, and his opinions are often met with a certain amount of skepticism. This is certainly cherry-picking, and other pros will have different opinions, but let's look at how many of the DLC characters I placed in top tier on his tier list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with 1 more being in high tier, 3 more being in mid tier, and only 1 in the lower tiers. That's 50% of the added DLC that have been top tier picks in the metagame, and an anticipated 6 with Kazuya already expected to be a top tier thanks to his insane kit. It honestly makes me really curious and skeptical for what the last DLC will hold. The characters have been really good thus far and provided a significant amount of strong competitors as time has gone on, easily adding several new characters to high tier at a minimum. And with the next DLC character just being announced in less than a week, what's going to be next? As the DLC has slowly been dripped into the game over the course of several years, it's quite apparent that they're offered significantly more tools to benefit them than the rest of the cast in neutral. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that every DLC character is better than every other character in the cast. Piranha Plant is obviously not better than Pikachu, but the point I'm making here is that on average, the DLC characters are better than a reasonable majority of the cast. In Smash 4, that was much more true in Ultimate, but it's definitely applicable here as well. I think that the design decisions that they've used to develop these characters just make them, on average, better than a lot of others, and I personally don't agree with that design philosophy. The gap in character potential is significantly lower in Ultimate than it was in Smash 4, but it does still exist, and DLC are very, very viable in this game. This video may come across as just complaining, or as an over-exaggeration, and I don't want it to be viewed in that light. I just don't want another Bayonetta or a final character that completely recentralizes the metagame simply based on their core design deviating so much from the general character design in Smash. That's really all I care about, honestly, and just looking at the data that we have of the released characters over the past few years, and with this being the final character, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that it'll be a good character so the game will go out with a bang. As for me though, I'm hoping for just another simple character, one whose specials and normals don't offer them some unique mechanic, someone whose spot dodge doesn't double as a free win in neutral for the character, someone who doesn't have a 1/8 chance to kill me at 20% with a smash attack, someone who doesn't have a mid-game power-up, and someone who actually wants to engage with the opponent. I'm so grateful for Smash. It's introduced me to some of my best friends, and I criticize it because I love it. If I didn't love it, no way would I put as much into it as I have, and I'm gonna try to end this on a high note. I don't think that the game design that they've been emphasizing lately has been good for the game, and that's just my 2 cents, but damn it, I gotta say I respect the hell out of this game for the insane amount of diversity and love that has gone into this title, because there will probably never be another game like Smash Ultimate again. I will always love this franchise, and in spite of whatever crazy mechanics they add to it, I will always want it to get better, even if that means criticizing it. Once again, I'm Cobalt, and thanks for watching.